Hello and welcome back. Comic book superheroes were huge during the golden age of comics in the 1940s, with hundreds of comic book titles being devoted to superheroes. However, the popularity of superhero comics waned in the 1950s, as young readers transitioned to other genres, such as horror and science fiction. The superhero genre was revitalized in the late 1950s and early 1960s, thanks to DC Comics' reinvention and revitalization of their Golden Age heroes, and the creation of an all-new superhero universe at Marvel Comics. The then growing industry of television animation took note of this, and soon several animation studios were adopting those comic book superheroes for television. Between 1966 and 1968, Filmation, the future creators of He-Man, would adapt the DC superheroes: Superman, Batman, Aquaman, the Justice League, and the Teen Titans. Over at a studio called Grant Trey Lawrence Animation, they acquired the rights to many of the Marvel superheroes, creating the Marvel Superhero Show, which featured Captain America, Iron Man, Thor, the Submariner, and the Incredible Hulk. And in 1967, they created the Spider-Man animated series, the one with the catchy theme song. For their part, television animation powerhouse Hanna-Barbera acquired the rights to Marvel's Fantastic Four. But with the popularity of Saturday morning cartoons rising and the networks clamoring for new content, Hanna-Barbera needed more. And for that, they turned to a veteran of both comics and animation, Alex Toth. Alex Toth began his career in comic books in the 1940s and moved to comic strips in the 1950s, then on to animation in the 1960s. Toth is widely considered to be one of the great cartoonists of the 20th century, for his skills in visual storytelling as well as character design. Alex Toth created the character designs for Hanna-Barbera's Fantastic Four adaptation, and also created several different superhero, fantasy, and science fiction properties for Hanna-Barbera. Among these was the cosmic superhero Space Ghost, who shared his half hour with Dino Boy in the Lost Valley, the story of a young boy trapped in a lost world of dinosaurs. Shazam was the story of siblings Chuck and Nancy, who were transported back to ancient Arabia to have adventures with the magical genie Shazam and their flying camel Kabubi. And the Herculoids was the story of a family of humans and fantastical creatures that defended their home, the far-off planet Quasar, from all manner of alien invaders. In the early 1970s, Toth would also develop the science fiction cartoon C-Lab 2020, as well as Hanna-Barbera's adaptation of the DC superheroes, the Super Friends. In 1967, Alex Toth would develop another program that would air on Saturday mornings on NBC television: Birdman and the Galaxy Trio. This half-hour show was divided into 3 segments, the first and last segment of the show being devoted to Birdman, a winged superhero who was powered by the sun. The middle segment of that show is the subject of our video today: the Galaxy Trio. The Galaxy Trio is a group of 3 extraterrestrial superheroes: Vapor Man, Meteor Man, and Gravity Girl, who patrol space in their cruiser Condor 1, maintaining order and fighting evildoers in the name of the Galactic Patrol Law Enforcement Agency. The members of the trio are Vapor Man, voiced by Hanna-Barbera voice legend Don Messick, who has provided voices to hundreds of characters over the years, including Scooby-Doo, Bam Bam Rubble, Astro, Muttley, Boo Boo Bear, and Ranger Smith. His career continued well into the 1980s, where he provided voices for the Transformers, the Smurfs, and Tiny Toon Adventures. Vapor Man has the ability to transform part or all of his body into a gaseous form, a power shared by some residents of his home planet, Vaporus. This enables him to fly, escape physical bonds, and squeeze through very small spaces. He can also produce various forms of vapor from his hands, such as a freeze vapor. Meteor Man was voiced by Ted Cassidy. Ted Cassidy was well known for his work in front of the camera as well as his voice work. He is best known for playing Lurch in the 1960s sitcom The Addams Family. And he was also the second actor to portray Bigfoot on The $6 Million Man. He also had a lengthy voice acting career, voicing characters like Galactus, Frankenstein Jr., and Black Manta. He was also the voice of the opening narration for the Incredible Hulk television series. Meteor Man was a native of the planet Meteorus. He has the ability to increase or decrease the size of any part of his body, and he gains superhuman strength in any limb that he chooses to enlarge. You can make up your own joke there. Moving on. The third member of the team is Gravity Girl, who is voiced by television actress Virginia Eiler. Gravity Girl has the ability to bend the laws of gravity to her will, allowing her to fly and lift very heavy objects with her mind. She is the daughter of the king of the planet Gravitas. She left her luxurious home and life of privilege at an early age to fight crime with the Galactic Patrol, and was subsequently assigned to the Galaxy Trio team. The Galaxy Trio get their missions from a man called the Chief, and they battle villains such as Computron and Lotar. Birdman and the Galaxy Trio only lasted for 20 episodes, and the title characters did not cross over with each other except for one brief bridging sequence. Outside of the original animated series, the Galaxy Trio have made sporadic appearances in comic books over the years. They made one appearance in Gold Key Comics' Hanna-Barbera Super TV Heroes in the 1960s, and decades later they returned to comics in DC Comics' crossover event Future Quest in 2016. Future Quest featured most of Hanna-Barbera's original superhero and adventure characters, such as Johnny Quest, Space Ghost, the Herculoids, Frankenstein Jr., and Mighty Mightor. Alex Toth's work for Hanna-Barbera was revived after a fashion in modern times, in the Cartoon Network and Adult Swim parody shows Space Ghost Coast to Coast, C-Lab 2021, and Harvey Birdman, Attorney at Law. Toys of the Galaxy Trio characters have been few and far between. Back in the early 2000s, the toy company Toynami had the license to do Hanna-Barbera superhero characters and produced several action figures, including a fantastic set of Herculoids toys, which on today's secondary market will probably cost you your kidney and your firstborn. Toynami also created a series called I-Men, which were small brick-style figures in the tradition of Lego minifigures and Kubrick toys. It was in this I-Men line that they included the Galaxy Trio. And that was it for Galaxy Trio toys until what you see before you. These three figures created by Figures Toy Company. For many years, Figures Toy Company has been producing Mego-style figures, both reproductions of original Megos as well as a huge slate of brand new characters to this format. Figures Toy acquired the license from Warner Brothers to create many figures based on the old Hanna-Barbera superheroes. They've done figures of Space Ghost, Birdman, Johnny Quest, and Super Friends style DC characters, as well as figure lines for Scooby-Doo and the Blue Falcon and Dynamod. And of course, what you see here, the Galaxy Trio. Figures Toy has recently been doing some special package sales, and I was hoping that they would put the Galaxy Trio on sale at some point, and luckily they did. So I was able to acquire the entire set for half the original retail cost. So let's take a closer look at these Galaxy Trio figures from Figures Toy Company. The Figures Toy Company carded figures all come in collector-friendly packaging. So this is actually not a blister card, this is an entire two-part blister with a backing card behind the figure. So once I snip this tag off, I can open up this blister, look at the toy, and put it right back in the packaging. So we have some nice artwork of Vapor Man here with the Galaxy Trio logo, Hanna-Barbera logo, Figures Toy logo, and the official World's Greatest Heroes logo, which is the line that Figures Toy produces these under. On the back of the card, the artwork is the same for all three. A nice shot from the animation, and you get the general write-up on all three, cruising the cosmos in their spaceship Condor 1. The extraterrestrial superheroes known as the Galaxy Trio patrol infinite space for the Galactic Patrol Law Enforcement Agency. And you get a little write-up for each individual character, explaining their powers, which we already talked about. And all three of the Galaxy Trio costumes have the same basic elements, just in different colors. So they all have the belt stripe, the superhero trunks, some wristbands, and boots. And each of their costumes has a hash mark on it. So Vapor Man gets the 1 hash mark, and Meteor Man gets the number 2, and Gravity Girl gets the number 3. And she is looking a bit uncomfortable in this package. So let's get these guys out. If you're not familiar with this type of figure, these stand 8 inches tall. And this is an old style body, which means that it is held together by way of S-hooks and elastic bands that connect the limbs inside the body. So over time, that might be an issue if those bands do decide to deteriorate. But there are ways to fix these and restring them. There's plenty of information and videos out there on how to do it. This type of figure has been around since the early 1970s, so we have the technology to fix them. The entire outfit is cloth goods, except for the boots, which are a soft, rubbery type of plastic, so you can get them over the foot. The ankles are articulated. He is a good-looking figure. The sculpt and the paint on the head are a little bit rough in places. Not too bad, but overall I do like him. And Vapor Man is on the standard male body. There are several different types of bodies for this style of figure, and we're going to see 3 different styles of body on the Galaxy Trio. Meteor Man comes on what they call the muscle body. So this is a larger framed body for larger characters. In the old Mego days, they would have used this type of body for characters like the Thing or the Incredible Hulk. I do really like this figure. He is a little bit nicer than Vapor Man, a little more interesting. Alex Toth gave Meteor Man those pointy Vulcan type ears, and the figure does have 2 different hand sculpts. He's got the closed hands and the open hands. Makes it a little bit more visually interesting. And same deal with the costume. Cloth goods head to toe with those flexible boots. Gravity Girl, of course, is on the female body. Makes sense. And usually with this type of figure, as you can see, the female figures come with rooted hair, just like Barbie dolls. I'm not a huge fan of the rooted hair. I'm not a doll collector. I'm an action figure collector, so the rooted hair does tend to get a little messy after a while, and I'm not going to sit and comb it, but hopefully it'll stay well enough. It does look pretty good right now. When I first got Gravity Girl out of the package, her left shoulder was frozen, but I was able to free it up well enough. No issues there. She's got her white plastic boots, and her head sculpt is okay. The paint is a little bit off in places, and they sculpted pupils into her eyes, but the blue paint they put in her eyes is larger than the sculpted pupils. So that gives it a little bit of a strange appearance. I've managed to get them all standing up. Usually it's a little difficult to get the female figures to stand up without the assistance of a figure stand because they do have smaller feet. But I managed to get Gravity Girl balanced. I do like how all three look together with the contrasting colors on each of their costumes. They have those similar design elements that tie them together, but they remain all distinct. And I do like what Figures Toy did with the head sculpts, making the male characters a little more stoic, but Gravity Girl looks a little more doll-like with a little smile. That's something that Mego did quite often in the 70s. The female characters would always have head sculpts that gave them that sort of Barbie doll look. So Figures Toy is following that design aesthetic. And that's it for my look at these Galaxy Trio action figures, and they look like they have their hands full with this giant dinosaur space robot. Even among the Hanna-Barbera action heroes, the Galaxy Trio aren't the most popular, unless you remember growing up watching them. I first saw them in the 1980s when Hanna-Barbera repackaged many of their old superhero and action cartoons as the syndicated show Hanna-Barbera's World of Super Adventure. They also appeared on Cartoon Network during the beginning days of that channel, and then migrated over to Cartoon Network's sister channel, Boomerang. Unfortunately, Boomerang ceased operation in 2021, but at the time of this recording, the complete series of Birdman and the Galaxy Trio is readily available on physical media for a reasonable price. So if you're interested in these classic superhero cartoons, they should be pretty easy to come by. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.